Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this video. We're going to talk a little bit about the skill tree and why you should go 100% into conditioning. I'm kidding, but seriously, but also kidding. But seriously, there are some things in some of the other trees that are interesting and that I would say are maybe even worth it. But conditioning is pretty key out of the gate. The expectation is there's going to be updates to the tree for actual launch. And crossing our fingers for open beta on Friday. We'll see what those look like. But regardless, let's dive in first to conditioning, what each ability does, and whether, in my opinion, it's worth going into. During the tech test, I don't believe anyone ever hit a max level. Shroud pretty much played it 24/7, and he ended up at level 37, which is going all the way to the end of one tree plus 1 point. So again, exploring the full thing, knowing if you could fill all of them out entirely, like that's yet to be determined, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if there's been confirmation of a max level, but as of right now, we don't know what that looks like. We don't know if you can actually respec at this point. In the tech test, once you made a decision, you had to lock that in, like some decisions I've made in my life. Firstly, youthful lungs. I think anybody who plays this game more than 10 minutes realizes how important stamina is, and 5 points into this, I'm sure 99% of players went there first. Secondarily, stubborn mule. Your stamina regeneration is less affected by being over encumbered. Again, out of the gate, I don't think people are thinking that far ahead, and since there's no current way to respec, I think they ultimately went with the next trait, which is proper breathing. Stamina regenerates faster. So again, combined with the previous, your stamina regeneration plus more base stamina, 99% of people went down this path. Used to the weight, wearing a shield doesn't slow you down as much. I think there's a lot of value in that, but the fact that it's gate kept by the previous talent and over encumbered probably gets utilized a lot less. Next, we got 3 deep breaths. After an ability drains your stamina, you recover more quickly. Again, this is the W path, right? You have more stamina, recover stamina quickly. After you use an ability to drain stamina, it recovers more quickly. Like win-win-win in a row for me. Good as new. While under a healing effect, stamina regeneration is increased. Again, valuable, but the talents that it takes to get there, not worth it in my mind. Calming stroll. While walking, your stamina regenerates as if you're standing still. A lot of value there. No one wants to stand still. I personally went down this path. Broad shoulders increases the maximum weight you can carry. So again, you have the over encumbered talent and you have this one. A lot of value in this other track, but again, I just don't think it's the dominant track here. Blastborn, your hearing is less affected by nearby explosions. I think this would mean more if this was a first-person shooter, but you have so much spatial awareness in a third-person game. I just don't know how much audibly it makes a difference, but we'll have to see and compare when the game comes out. I don't have any footage of being talented in this or not, especially since you couldn't retalent during the tech test. Sky clearing swing, you deal more melee damage to drones. I've noticed like when the Hornets get in close, you can actually melee them pretty well. Also, mounting on top of a Rocketeer and beating it to death. Again, I don't know how much value there is here, but definitely would consider it compared to the audio on explosions. Loaded arms. Your equipped weapon has less impact on your encumbrance. Again, I don't know how vague that is. If it means that you could have an additional weapon in your inventory to exfil with, I think there could be a lot of value here. But we'll have to do some testing when the game actually goes live. Sturdy ankles. You take less fall damage when falling from a non-lethal height. I think there's some value there. I definitely haven't timed my roll yet to reduce damage. Proficient prior. Breaching doors and containers takes less time. There could be some value there, especially if someone puts a door blocker on. You need to get in the room quickly. Again, 5 points into that. Not sure what that means timing-wise, if that's a second or if that's, 2 seconds. Not entirely sure. We'll compare when it launches. And now we get to the end of the tree. Security breach lets you breach security lockers. So unique containers that you can only breach if you have this talent. There's some value to that. Fly swatter. This requires 36 points, so this is all the way into the tree. A single melee attack destroys a tick, a pop, a wasp, or a turret. Personally, security lockers might be more worth it, but again, you could do both of them. They're not mutually exclusive. All right, now we talk about the mobility tree. Nimble climber, you can climb and vault more quickly. I think there's some value here. I think you'd probably want to go through the conditioning tree first, but again, the ability to vault and get out of situations or climb ladders, which those situations are pretty vulnerable, I think there's value. Agile croucher, your movement speed while crouching is increased. As a stealth solo, there could be a lot of value to this talent. Marathon runner, moving around costs less stamina. How does this vary from the conditioning tree? I don't know, we'll have to compare it. Moving around, what does that equate to? If I end up having more stamina or using less when I move? Obviously, stamina controls multiple abilities, so there's still maybe more value to having a bigger pool of stamina. Flip and slide, you can slide further and faster. While this sounds super fun, again, practicality-wise, I'm not sure. Effortless roll, dodge rolls cost less stamina. I see this as a big W. I mean, the ability to get out of the line of sight from a Rocketeer when they're shooting at you, etc. A lot of value here. Survivor stamina, this requires 15 points in mobility. When you're critically hurt, your stamina regenerates faster. I think there's some value here if you're taking fire and you need to get out of the situation quickly. Carry the momentum. After a sprint dodge roll, sprinting does not consume stamina for a short time and has a cooldown between uses. Again, when you're trying to get out of a situation, I think there could be a lot of value to this. Sprinting without a stamina cost for a short time is pretty huge. Off the wall, you can wall leap further. Curious what this means. I didn't do a whole lot of wall leaping. I don't know what that's defined as in the game. Again, leave me a comment if you can define that as to what that actually means, other than, you know, if I'm hanging on a ledge and I jump off, does that mean I can jump further on when I jump off? I'm not sure. Fight or flight. When you're hurt in combat, regain a fixed amount of stamina, has 15-second cooldown between uses. Again, this is straight down that like get out of jail free card, like when you're taking fire under some of the previous dodge roll stamina buffs. Like this is in the same vein as that. Could be valuable. Again, this is a lot of like maybe solo stealth gameplay of just being able to have survivability and evasiveness. Ready to roll. When falling, your timing window to perform a recovery roll is increased. I don't know how many recovery rolls I successfully completed in the tech test, but I'm sure I can count them on like one hand maybe. So maybe I need this one. Vigorous vaulter. Vaulting is no longer slowed down while exhausted. This is big. There's an amount of times I'm stuck against a wall and I can't get over it because my character is out of stamina. That's a big one. Crawl before you walk. When you're downed, you crawl faster. The arc won't target you when you're downed. That was brought up by Shy, the design director, who did his stream with Clean. But other players might want to thirst you. So I think there's some value to this to get back out of danger and to a teammate for a revive. Heroic leap. You can dodge roll further. Sounds interesting. I'm curious how much further. We'll have to test. Vault on vaults. Vaults no longer cost stamina. That's kind of big. Again, I think rolls no longer costing stamina would be major. Vaulting is a little more infrequent, so I'm not sure if I see the value here. Vault spring lets you jump at the end of a vault. Kind of interesting. I don't, again, know if I would put all of my talents into this tree unless there's no cap on the talent tree. Of course, you'd eventually fill everything out. Now we get to the survival tree, which, second to the conditioning tree, in my mind, has some of the more interesting abilities. Looter's instincts. When searching a container, loot is revealed faster. I think there's some value to that for sure. Just another plant. While crouched, you're less noticeable to arc. I don't know if I have the instinct to crouch when I'm under fire from a Rocketeer, but as I'm crouch walking around, especially combined with some stuff in the mobility tree where you move faster when you're crouched, again, it could tie into that stealthy solo gameplay. Silent scavenger. You make less noise when looting. I think there's some value to that. Again, I don't know. With all the other noises you could potentially make opening a container, I'm not sure if that's going to drastically reduce your detection. Gentle pressure. You make less noise when breaching. I could see some value to this. I mean, the loud screeching noise made when you're breaching a door can definitely be heard from a decent distance away. Distracting aura. Arc enemies are less accurate when targeting you. I mean, I would love to have the Rocketeers whiffing. Feels like they have my number every time. Suffer in silence. While critically hurt, your movement makes less noise. This could be valuable, again, for some solo play as you're trying to go off into a bush and heal. And again, critically hurt does not mean downed, so your character is just low on health, you're huffing and puffing, blowing the house down. There could be some value here, again, for a solo player especially. Unburdened roll. If your shield breaks, your first dodge roll within a few seconds does not cost stamina. I mean, this is extremely conditional, but I definitely see some value to this. Now, just tracking when your shield's actually breaking, because unlike other games, your shield doesn't break first and then your health bar goes down. Your shield and your health both go down at the same time. So, it's not like you have a full health bar at that point. So maybe that free dodge roll will be worth it. Down but determined. When you're down, it takes longer for you to collapse. I could see a lot of value here. There are quite a few times that, I fell off of something really high and my teammates had to make their way all the way down to me. There could be some value here. Traveling Tinkerer unlocks additional items to Fieldcraft. Well, I don't know the breadth of all the items. I know my buddy went down this path and he was actually able to craft a Raider Hatch key. So that's super interesting to be able to find things in the world, craft a Raider Hatch key, especially if you have high value loot on you. Save the $6,000 from bringing one in, and then avoid the traditional exfils that are usually higher risk. Looter's Luck. When looting, there's a chance to reveal twice as many items at once. So, you don't get twice as many items of loot, but you're able to get through containers a lot faster. I think there's some value to that. Turtle Crawl. While down, you take less damage. So if someone's thirsting you, the ability to, require a lot more shots to get taken out. And if you combine that with the ability to move faster when downed, maybe you'll survive more often. One Raider Scraps. When looting Raider containers, you have a small chance of finding additional field crafted items, which is awesome, like shield chargers or, as mentioned before, Raider Hatch keys. The ability to find more of those in the wild. I mean, I don't know how often I was looking for more shield rechargers. Maybe that's an indication of how bad of a player I am, but would be super valuable. A little extra. Breaching an object generates resources. What type of resources are those? I'm not sure. Is it the same thing Scrappy's going to give me, or is it something more meaningful? That's one to definitely take a look at. Back on your feet. This is end of the tree for survival. When you're critically hurt, your health regenerates until a certain limit. Again, there's not multiple points in this. I don't know what a certain limit means. We'll have to test that. But, it's nice if you get knocked down to a really low health and you regen a quarter, maybe. That could be a value. And finally, we have Minesweeper. Mines and explosive deployables can be diffused when in close proximity. I think there could be some value here. Players traditionally put mines on zip lines and areas where you won't necessarily notice them, but they do have a big glow to them. So there could be some value to that. But if I were to choose that or back on your feet, I'd probably go with back on your feet. My expectation is that conditioning is going to be more balanced after the tech test. I think, Embark's really good at looking at user data. I'm sure they're going to evaluate the fact that everybody went into the red tree, generally speaking. And so I think they'll adjust accordingly. But there's a lot of interesting diversity between the different trees here. I think, again, conditioning and survival feel like some of the strongest. But for solo play, I think mobility definitely has some advantages. Really interested to do this video once the game actually launches and see what changes they make. From Tech Test 1, which had a really, really simple talent system, to this more complex multi-path talent tree, I think they're moving in the right direction. Make sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what talent tree you end up going down if you were fortunate enough to be in the tech test, and any other thoughts you have about the current talent system. I think overall it's pretty well balanced. There's not anything that sticks out as being like a clear advantage for a new player, for example, that picked up the game today versus someone who's been playing for a significant amount of time. I mean, that'll be more tied to the crafting system and kind of what access to guns they have and things like that. These are relatively nominal things. I mean, the sum of all the parts could be pretty significant to an extent, but nothing, in my opinion, overpowered. Like the ability to get back up after getting downed or something, what I think would be probably out of scope here, and I think it's best they didn't do something like that. So anyway, leave me a comment. Thanks again for watching the video. I'm trying to continually improve, and to be honest with you, I'm just filling the time before the open beta or release or whatever may be happening this weekend. Big hype for that, so everyone cross your fingers. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a great day.